Hi guys, it's Aly, your Rockstar bar girl, and I'm coming to you today with an interesting video. For those of you who are waiting on the next Basics 101 video, hang tight, it will be out soon. I'm actually bartending at 2 new bars, and so I've been spending every single day for the last week training or working at these bars. So I haven't been able to make that video, but don't worry, it will be up before the end of the week. But since I want to make sure that I satisfy your dying need for videos on bartending every Wednesday, I decided to make this one. And this one's been on my mind for a while. I wanted to talk to you guys about myths about bartending. Number one, the one I hear probably the most, is that bartending is a party. People will say, oh, I want to bartend, it seems like so much fun. You just get to party all the time and your job is to party. That's great. Wrong. Bartending is not just a party. Even when you are having fun, it is not just a party. As a bartender, you have a lot of responsibilities. It is your responsibility to make sure that all of your customers are safe and to make sure that all of the money that your bar is handling is protected and being taken care of. Those are the two most important things. When you become a bartender, many bars will require you, and even if you're not required, you should take an alcohol safety training course. People leave bars drunk, they get into car accidents, and they die. What we do is serious. You're out there slanging something that severely impairs the judgment of the people who are drinking it. So if you're partying, then you will lose your ability to make sure that people are safe. So it's not just a party. You can have tons of fun. I have tons of fun when I'm bartending. But don't look at it as just a party. You're responsible for sometimes thousands of dollars in inventory, and also sometimes just literally thousands of cash dollars. And if you're busy having a great time and not paying attention to that, you could be held responsible if something goes wrong. So it's not just a party. It's definitely fun, but it is not just a party. You will have responsibilities. Aside from that, there'll be cleaning of the bar, complying with health code, setting up the bar, breaking down at night, being responsible sometimes for other staff like waitresses or barbacks. So you can definitely have a lot of fun while you're bartending, but if you're going into this business, you should know that it's not just about walking in the door, partying for 6 hours, and then going home with a wad of cash. There are responsibilities you're going to have. Myth number 2, which kind of flows right from myth number 1, which is that bartenders are drunk or drinking all the time. Also totally not true. While some establishments do allow their bartenders to drink, and if you are allowed to drink, then it's kind of your judgment call on whether you do or not, many bartenders, including myself, choose not to drink when they're working for the most part. There are some exceptions, but it's really very simple. It gets really hard to count a lot of money, and it gets really hard to make sure that people are safe and taken care of when you are drunk. Not to mention, your manager or boss is going to be concerned that there's alcohol missing that isn't accounted for, that isn't paid for if you are drunk or drinking all the time. So if you think that becoming a bartender is going to allow you to be drunk all the time or drinking all the time, not the case. 3. Some people think that bartending just means making drinks, that you just memorize a bunch of recipes, you go and you make them, and that's all there is. But that's not the case. Being a bartender is a well-rounded job. It calls on a lot of different skills and a lot of different talents. So in addition, just to name a few, in addition to being able to make drinks, you need to be competent in math. You need to be able to add up the 4 shots, 2 cocktails, and 3 beers that this person just ordered, because when you're busy, you don't have time to go to a POS, check all of the prices, and come up with a total. you need to be able to tell the person how much their drink costs right away. So you need to be competent in math. You need to be able to count money quickly. You will have to, at least at a very minimum, you will have to count the register that you are working with and your tips. But you could also be responsible for counting the cash drop of the night and things like that. So being able to count money competently, accurately, quickly are also important. You might also need to get your food handler certificate or get an alcohol safety training certification. So you will not only have to be able to count money, but you might have to have other skills that go beyond bartending, like identifying food hazards, alcohol safety hazards, etc. Another big myth that I hear from people is that bartending is just like a temporary job. It's just this thing that everybody who wants to be an actor, singer, songwriter, dancer, painter is doing to pay the rent. And that is true for a lot of people. It is a great job for people who need to finance other things that they're doing in their lives. But there are many of us, like myself, who are what you call career bartenders. We've been doing this for a long time. It's our full-time occupation. It's what we do. And hospitality is the business that we want to be in. So when you go in for a job interview or you go in to train, be aware and be respectful of the fact that not everyone is there just to sort of make a dollar. Some of the people who will be training you really care about what they do, so be respectful. Do yourself a favor. If you're going in to train, do not show up without your tools. Don't show up without a beer opener. If you go in to train for a bartending job and you don't have a beer opener in your bag or in your pocket ready to go kill yourself. For real. Just off yourself. Because you're wasting that person's time, and it is so disrespectful to waste someone's time. You do not have to make bartending your life dream. You don't have to make it the most important thing that's ever happened to you, but understand that for some people it is, and be respectful of that. Another bartending myth is that bartenders care. That seems mean to say. Let me explain what I mean by that. We care. We're like Care Bears. We care like everybody else does. But if you are a customer, I think it's really important that if you are a bartender, you want to bartend, or you're in any way related to the hospitality industry, that there is no excuse for you being a shitty customer or doing the ridiculous things that regular customers do. If you are in a bar and you find yourself saying something like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm a bartender too," something has gone wrong. You've done something wrong. Because the only people who ever say that to me are people who are doing ridiculous things and think that by saying that they bartend too, that somehow that's supposed to make it all better. So if you're refusing to pay your tab, or just all the ridiculous things that customers do, and you're trying to explain why it's okay by saying that you bartend too, then again, go kill yourself. When a bartender or waitress is my customer, they never have to say that they bartend. It is always completely obvious. They come in, they order their drinks, they're respectful, they pay their tab, they tip properly, they leave. That's how I know someone is a bartender. You really never have to say it. So don't think that the bartender you're talking to cares that you work service and you poured yourself a vodka cranberry one time. We don't. Behave properly and you will get all that good bartender love that we love to give out. Another myth that I hear a lot is that we love people. That, oh, I would be a great bartender because I just love people and I love talking to people. And don't get me wrong, I have friends and coworkers who are in this business because they love people. They love interacting with people, serving them, causing them to have a great time, socializing with them. They love that. You know who you are, friends of mine. And they're great, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's important that you know that liking people is not a prerequisite to this job. Not only does you liking people not mean that you're going to be good at this, but you not liking people doesn't mean you're going to be bad at it. Okay? You don't have to like people to be able to do the job. You do, however, have to be able to understand people. Understand how people who are drinking and partying might make mistakes or do ridiculous things or need you to repeat something or need your assistance. You need to understand that some people are young and they haven't been drinking much and they don't get this, and they haven't been to bartending school. They don't know the things that you know. And so you might, need to kind of babysit some customers more than others. And that's a part of the job. You don't have to like them, but you do have to understand that that is how they're going to behave because they're not at work. They're having a good time. They're letting loose. And so you have to be able to at least understand where they're coming from, why they're behaving the way they are, and take care of them and make sure that they have a good time, even if they're not your favorite. The next myth is really, really important to address if you guys are going into this business, and that is the myth that we make crazy money all the time. For most of us, that is not the case. The money is good, and sometimes the money is great, and that's oftentimes why we do this. But you have to understand that while there will be $500 days, there will be $50 days. It's the name of the game. The idea is that overall, everything is going to balance out so that you are able to work 4 nights a week, max, and make a decent amount of money. More importantly, you should be able to work 4 nights a week and make the same amount of money as somebody who's working 5 days a week. That's the hope. That's the idea. When you first start out in an establishment, there's a really good chance that you are not going to have your first shifts be those $500 nights. You take your $50 nights, you learn, and you get better. And the reason why you're not on those big money nights is because you're not good enough yet to be on those nights. And that's okay. You don't necessarily wake up in the morning as a rock star bartender. But if you watch this channel and you practice and you take all the shifts that you can get and you work your butt off and you try to learn as much as possible, then before you know it, you will be on those $500 nights. You will be scheduled on holidays like New Year's and St. Patty's Day and Cinco de Mayo, and you will make great money all in one night. But you're gonna have to work those $50 days first sometimes. And even after you've been bartending forever, those $50 days are just gonna happen. Who wants to get turned up at 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday? Not me, not most people. So if you're working that shift, understand that it's not gonna be $1 million day. But this can be a very lucrative business. So just understand that you're not necessarily going to be making crazy money every single day of the week. Another myth, one that I think is like just ridiculous, is that you're gonna have holidays off. No. Hello. Dumb. No, you are not going to have holidays off, and you should not want holidays off. Now, there's Christmas and there's Thanksgiving. Those are holidays where they're so family oriented that pretty much no one goes out drinking on those days. Everyone's at home, they're with their families, and yes, perhaps it is reasonable for you to imagine that you might have those days off. But every other holiday of the year involves drinking. And not only will you not get those days off if you are a good bartender, you don't want those days off. You spend all year waiting for those days. Remember those $500 shifts that I was talking about? Yeah, that's going to be Halloween. That's going to be New Year's. That's going to be St. Patty's. So you want to be working on the holidays of the year because those are going to be the biggest paying days of the year. So expect that even though you're going to get to work a sweet schedule where maybe you only work 3 or 4 days a week and you're able to pay all of your bills and live comfortably, that you may not necessarily have all of those great party holidays, to go hang out and get drunk with your friends. You may be working on those days. And trust me, once you work your first St. Patty's Day and you see all the money you made, you'll never want to be off with your friends on a holiday again. You will be the first person to sign up to want to work. And you'll probably have to beat other bartenders back with like bats in order to be able to work those days. Everybody wants to work the holidays, so don't expect to be off on holidays. A myth I hear sometimes is that you will be working weekends. Don't expect that. 9 times out of 10, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights are the biggest money nights at your bar or any bar. And those nights, not only are they incredibly lucrative, they're also really demanding. Your bar could see 3 to 4 times more people on a Friday or Saturday night than they would on, let's say, a Monday night. So when you first walk in the door, you simply are not capable of serving people fast on those nights and taking care of that high of a volume. You're still learning, you're still slow at things, you don't know where things are, so it might take some time for you to be able to work the weekends. Not to mention that because the weekends are so lucrative, the staff that is already there will most likely have first dibs on those shifts. Now, I have heard people say that they don't like working the weekends because it can get really crazy. And, hey, if you make enough money working during the week to pay your bills, and that's great. Never work the weekends. But chances are you're going to want to work on the weekends. And the only thing that you can do is to get comfortable in your bar, learn everything you possibly can, be willing to cover shifts, and just work hard to show that you are capable. People are not going to keep you from working the weekends out of like a personal vendetta against you. Your manager is going to look at all of the high volume that's coming in on the weekends and ask themselves whether or not you're ready to handle it. And if the answer is no, not yet, or the staff that they already have on Fridays and Saturdays is capable of handling it already, then you might not be on weekend shifts just yet. So don't think, oh, I'm going to start bartending and walk into this job and I've got school Monday through Wednesday, so I'll just bartend Thursday, Friday, Saturday. No. They might only be offering you Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And you should expect that. And finally, sort of related to the payment myth we talked about, is that you are going to be paid off the books or that you are not going to be paying taxes. That is not necessarily going to be the case. And I've been doing this for 9 years, and over that time, the amount of bars that will pay a bartender totally in cash off the books have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And now it is super rare to find a job that will pay you as a bartender totally off the books. The more popular your bar, the more money your bar is making, the more attention it's going to get from the IRS. And it's just not going to be possible for your owner to get away with paying you in just cash. The IRS always comes knocking. What is most common is that you will receive an hourly pay, which is less than the minimum wage, or a flat shift pay, and those will go on a paycheck. So you will be put on the payroll, you will need to fill out a W-4 and give in your social security card and all that stuff, and you will be taxed on that money. So those are 10 of the most common myths about bartending. Hopefully I dispelled them all. If you have any questions about anything I talked about, or if you just want to leave your own comment, maybe you totally disagree with something that I said, then definitely leave it below in the comment section and I'll do my best to respond. I'd love to hear what you have to think about this, especially if you're a bartender and you have different experiences. Remember to like this video if you found it useful or you enjoyed it, and of course subscribe. You're definitely going to want to subscribe because, like I said, the next Basics 101 video is coming out soon and you're going to want to be updated when that gets posted. So make sure that you subscribe, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye, Rockstars.